Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the panel for your thoughtful and grounded experience to help us fashion better, more flexible policies, which I think we're all in favor of stretching those taxpayer dollars to meet the competing needs, but without lowering standards. First question for the panel. All of you have highlighted the importance of federal funds to help communities meet these water-related infrastructure needs. But as many of you know, the primary federal program to provide this assistance, the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, was last reauthorized 30 years ago. Today we've got a bipartisan bill to reauthorize it with increased funding, perhaps not to the tripled level that was much as I would like to do that, but to a greater level. Would you urge this Congress to finally reauthorize and increase appropriations for the state revolving funds program? If we can just go right down the line, because I got a bunch of questions.
Sure, we would absolutely welcome that in South Bend.
Thank you.
We would absolutely support that, but Madam Congresswoman, not at the expense of smaller communities.
Absolutely.
Congresswoman Esty, thank you. America's counties would welcome that as another important tool in the toolbox, but we would add that flexibility to be able to introduce green infrastructure and things like that help us save money as well, and that's critically important as well.
Absolutely. Mr. Butler?
Mr. Chairman, Representative, the state revolving loan programs are critical to all of the states, including Ohio. They're our primary vehicle, helping all communities, large, small, rich, and poor, to help meet these obligations for clean water and drinking water needs.
Thank you. Mr. Spearman?
Yes, ma'am. Most definitely, and I would also encourage the subcommittee and committee to look at ways to simplify the use of these funds on the local level. Sometimes the biggest problem we have, with deference to my person from the EPA next to me, states sometimes are one of the holdbacks in using it, and also increasing the use for stormwater activities. I represent primarily MS4 communities, working with them that have different issues than the CSO and SSO communities. So that's making sure that they understand that they can use these funds also.
Thank you. Mr. Levine? Yes.
Absolutely, yes. And you
you.
heard in our recommendations, a significant increase we believe is needed, and some changes in the cap in order to encourage more grants and encourage more environmentally innovative projects.
Absolutely. So I think we are all in agreement. I know Chairman Graves and I have talked about this, the need to integrate new processes, new ways of doing things, again, to have the best technologies and the best practices in place and not be locking in older, less useful and often more expensive. So we're all committed to doing that, and your support as we go through this process will be vitally important for us to design the most appropriate legislation going forward that provides that measure of flexibility. Second question, I would contend that in addition to providing additional resources for those unfunded federal mandates, which those of us who have served in local office all really hate because our taxpayers, we've got to raise the money from them. The federal government, I believe, should be exploring whether targeted federal subsidies to assist individual households, lower income, which many of you flagged that challenge. And when you are serving a community, even rich communities have people who have economic challenges. As you may know, in 1990, Congress authorized the LIHEAP program, the Low Income Heating Assistance Program. I know we use it extensively in every community in Connecticut. Would you support something similar to that concept to help communities that low-income folks across the country, but particularly in communities that are hard hit, to have that sort of a program like LIHEAP, but for water resources?
Yeah, certainly a community like ours could put that to work right away.
Thank you. Mayor Dupree?
Yes, Congresswoman, that would be something that we would use, except for the fact that in some states, they don't allow you to have a two-tiered process. You can't pay two different prices. The other thing that I would say on that is that median income that I think has been set by this whole process needs to be revisited and maybe set it based on a lower tier than on a 2% median income.
All right, thank you.
Congresswoman Esty, thank you for introducing another innovative approach to this. The main reason why Clean Water Act compliance is not happening across the board is due to the lack of funding. And that's directly related to the over-reliance on the medium household income approach to all of this. So anything that would help to reduce reliance on MHI as a primary tool with respect to funding and would help our poor and the working poor to be able to assist in the obligations under the Act would be another important tool in the toolbox.
Thank you.
Bringing new tools to the table to help us with low-income communities, in addition to the good work through the SRF programs, would be welcome.
Thank you.
When I go around and create stormwater utilities, one of the main issues that the local governments have is how it will affect their low and moderate income folks. And this type of program would definitely help these communities generate the needed funds they need to help support the other goals of the Clean Water Act.
Yes, absolutely, again. And the bill that's pending right now to create a pilot, we believe is a good start, but actually should be expanded as a nationwide program, exactly as you say, similar to the LIHEAP program and fully funded to meet the needs.
Exactly. Thank you very much, and I see we're over. I appreciate your indulgence.